Welcome, I'm filming a Xiaomi Redmi 9A, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a brief overview of the device. So let's get started and pop the box open, see what's inside, apart from the phone, obviously. So in the box there's nothing here, as you can see, so I'm just gonna drop that to the side. Then we get the phone itself. Try not to drop it maybe. Now I did already unpack it and set up the device, so we don't have to go through that. Let's just drop that to the side. Then we get some SIM eject tool right here, and inside paperwork, looks like, and that's about it. No case for the device, looks like. So I just also drop that. Then we get the charging cable. Now unfortunately this is the old one, so it's the type A to, what is it, micro USB or whatever it's called. As you can see, it's not type C, so that's a little bit of a shame. And then the charger is also nothing special. It's only a 10-watt charger, so I would say it really lags behind. But when I also add the fact that this phone costs about $90, then I probably assume this will change the perspective on what you get in the box. Now personally, with the cable and the charger, I would rather pay $10 more, even maybe 20, just to get a type C and maybe a little bit of a better charger, considering this device actually rocks a 5000 milliamp hour battery, so this is a absolute unit of a battery. But with this puny charger, it's going to be charging forever. As you can see, it's already set up, like I said. And the first thing that you will see is probably the display, which is just kind of maybe change the wallpaper so you can get a better look at the display. There we go. In a white background, it's actually more visible. So the display is a 6.53 inch display with a resolution of 720 by 1600. So the resolution isn't anything mind-blowing. I would say the display looks fairly clear. I do see some pixels in it from time to time if I'm a little bit closer to the device, but that is to be expected with a lower resolution. And also it's an IPS LCD display with a 269 pixels per inch and a screen to body ratio of 81.1%. So the screen to body ratio is fairly nice, I would say. Sadly the resolution is a little bit. I would like to see either a smaller display or better resolution. Probably would be also okay with, well, smaller display, considering this device is fairly chunky. As you will see, this is a Mate 20 Pro, not the newest device and also not the best condition, as you can probably see by the cracks, but the 9A is bigger than it. So I used to think that my phone was, well, big. This is a little bit chunkier. Now keep in mind that there are a little bit more bezels, so yeah. Now when it comes down to specs of the device has a MediaTek Helios G25. Like I said, it's a budget device, so it won't be any kind of powerhouse here. Comes with a 2GB RAM. Now it would also be really amazing if they added a little bit more RAM, or at least a choice to go for a higher spec version of it. The 2GB RAM might be a little bit limited nowadays. There are apps that will use that up no problem. Probably the system is already using most of it. If I could see it, that would be really nice. Security, deep clean, it looks like there's no info about the RAM here. But apart from that, it also has 32GB storage, and it does also have the ability to, well, expand it via the SD card, so that is super nice. And like I previously mentioned, it has an absolute unit of a 5000 milliamp hour battery with that 10-watt charger. And when it comes down also to some other parts of it, it has no NFC. Not sure if anybody cares at this price range for NFC. I personally do care for it. I basically pay only with my phone, so NFC is to me a bit of a godsend here. And like I also mentioned previously, it does use that old charging port, so that's a little bit of a downgrade, I would say. especially in 2020. Now when it comes down to the front of the display, as you can see, there is a little teardrop notch for the camera, and this is just a simple 5 megapixel wide sensor that shoots at 1080p 30 frames. And at the back we also have a single sensor, so this device isn't trying to be like, look at us, we have 5 different cameras all around the phone. And what I was actually surprised at this is a 13 megapixel wide sensor at the back that also shoots at 1080p, and the thing that surprised me was it shoots at 60 frames. So really nice. I assume it's probably not going to be anything mind-blowing for this price range, but I'll test it out in a second. And apart from that, while we're also at the back, we have a couple different colors of this device. So the one that I have, let me actually check because I'm not sure what's the color of this one. So it looks like I have the granite gray. Then there's also sky blue and ocean green. Now I have them written a little bit differently, so I'm not sure if the translations of it differ, but basically green, blue, and gray. That's the colors. So let's flip it back over. And also one thing that I didn't mention, we get something that is also fairly rare nowadays. It's the headphone jack. And it's still present on this device. So if you have some kind of good cans that you like to use, well, you can surely plug them into this phone and use them. Now going to the camera, I'm gonna whip out my tiny little plant. As you can see, a tiny little one here, and just capture some photos of it and see how it goes. Let's allow, move it a little bit this side, and let's allow. Okay. Now let me maybe move this somehow so it doesn't actually interfere with the camera. It does change the coloring of it a little bit for the worse, so I guess I can't really do it without it. So now also let's go for the video and make sure that it is set to 1080p. So or was it just a browse and it doesn't actually shoot at 30? Looks like we might be having a problem with the 60 frames. So yeah, it looks like it only shoots at 30 frames max, so that was a lie. Well, let's see how it looks like anyway. So just gonna start capturing. I'm gonna be free holding this, so it is a bit of a better idea of it, like the stabilization. So now that I have recorded something, let me just mute that and go to the gallery. Oh, there's the gallery. Got it, cool. And so I believe this one was the first one that I was shooting. So you can see the stabilization is basically non-existent, looks like. Now in terms of photos, as you can see, it did alright. Now the colors are a little bit off, I would say. The sharpness is also, well, not really present here. It struggles with defining the colors and differences. It kind of looks almost like a blurry mess. Now on the camera, it looks a little bit better, but well, compared to what you can see right here and on the photo, it's completely different. Now also let's see the first one with the light being kind of weird. And this actually came out a little bit better, I have to say. The lighting might not be optimal here, but at least it looks a little bit more true to life, I would have to say, at least in terms of the colors. So yeah, Now also, while we're at the camera, let's look at the selfie cam and see my ugly smug here and see how that looks like. So looks like the light is messing up with it. Oh, there we go. So let's move it back and go to the gallery and see how it did with the photo here. So the selfie, as you can see, does some smoothing. I don't look like a 16-year-old. And in terms of the hair, I did fairly okay-ish, at least on the top of it. There's no like blatant blur of it, but then in terms of facial hair, there's no quality, and actually it looks like it focused more on the mic rather than me in the background. And yeah, so the selfie cam is just mediocre at best. But then, like I said at the beginning, this is a budget device. It comes at $90 and does have something that some other devices in this price range do not, which is a Play Store. So Huawei specifically makes also super budget devices like this for about $90-$80. I think 80 was the lowest I've seen, and I had here that I also reviewed. But like I said, it's Huawei, so they don't have Play Store, and for a budget device also not having Play Store, I would say that is fairly limiting in terms of who the phone will be catering to. But yeah, apart from that, I have to say this is a fairly decent device. I wasn't expecting it to be well in this price range. Honestly, when I first got it, didn't really check the price of it, and it does run fairly well. It's not the fastest device, but then I was expecting it to be fairly cheap. As you can see, it is fairly slow. It is using fairly budget specs, so in certain cases it will kind of freeze up till it catches up and opens up an app like you just seen right now. But if you're willing to live with those kind of drawbacks and you don't really mind, and you want to have budget device that you don't really have to care about, if you can drop it, if it breaks, doesn't really matter here, then this device is honestly worth the money, I would say. Like I said, it does have a little bit of a stuttering in times and might not always work the best, but honestly, for the price that it costs, I'm surprised how well it works actually. And the fact that it has things like headphone jack and Play Store are a thumbs up in addition to this amazing price. So to finish up the overview of this device, it is a really decent phone for the price that it comes in. It is catering to the super budget range of the device, so literally at the beginning of the spectrum. Probably if you try to go any lower, you would be getting some kind of flip phone that is rocking a iOS. So here you're getting at Android 10 with all the features of Android 10 for a absurdly low price, and the phone looks okay. The display is fine, I would say. Looks really nice in terms of colors. Like I said before, the resolution might be a little bit off in certain cases, especially if you're looking closer at the device, you will see those pixels. But then, like I said, it is super budget device, so for that price range, it is, if you're looking for a budget device, I would totally recommend it. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.